Life teaches us that our words carry weight. The more we speak without care, the more we give away our power. Some thoughts, feelings, and plans are meant to remain private, for revealing them can bring trouble, distraction, or regret. Here are 7 things you should never tell anyone, explained in a way that strengthens your mind and guards your peace. Your deepest fears are private treasures of the mind, and revealing them to others can weaken the very strength you are trying to build. Fear is natural. It is a signal from within that something matters to you, that your mind recognizes a possible threat or challenge. But when you speak these fears aloud, you hand over a part of your power to the world outside. People may judge you, misunderstand you, or even use your fears against you, intentionally or not. The mind that learns to hold fear quietly becomes stronger, because strength is not measured by how loudly you announce your struggles, but by how steadily you face them in silence. The first step in guarding your fears is understanding them. Look at them clearly and without judgment. What are you afraid of? Why does it disturb you? When you analyze fear in solitude, you discover its origin and its influence over your thoughts and actions. Some fears are real, some imagined, and some are magnified by your own mind. By keeping them private, you give yourself the space to reason and reflect, to see them as they truly are, and to decide how to respond rather than reacting in panic or shame. Fear shared without discretion often loses its clarity. When you tell someone about it, the fear can grow or change shape. It may no longer belong to you alone. It can be twisted by another's interpretation. This makes it heavier and more difficult to confront. When you carry fear silently, you retain ownership of it. You can approach it methodically, challenge its assumptions, and take steps to diminish it. The mind that does not scatter its focus across other people's opinion is free to act decisively. Facing fear privately also teaches patience and endurance. Life will always present uncertainties and discomforts, but the mind trained in quiet reflection becomes resilient. Each fear confronted and understood in solitude becomes a stepping stone toward courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery over it. And mastery cannot come from sharing your weakness too early. Mastery comes from observation, discipline, and the choice to act despite discomfort. When you refrain from speaking about your fears, you also protect your peace. The world is full of voices, opinions, and judgments. Sharing your fears invites commentary, advice, or criticism that may confuse or distract you. Keeping them silent allows your mind to remain uncluttered, focused on solutions rather than explanations or excuses. It allows your energy to go into action, preparation, and reflection, rather than into defending or explaining your vulnerability. There is also dignity in silence. Humans instinctively respect those who command their own minds. When you do not broadcast every anxiety, people perceive strength, composure, and control. Your reputation and influence are strengthened, not by the fears you confess, but by the calmness you maintain while navigating challenges. Silence does not mean hiding reality. It means you are choosing the right time, place, and way to engage with the world, not letting your inner turbulence spill over into it. Fear is not meant to vanish entirely, and it does not need to. It is a teacher, a guide, and sometimes a warning. But by keeping your fears private, you transform them from obstacles into instruments of growth. You train yourself to face them directly, to endure discomfort, and to emerge stronger without relying on the reassurance or sympathy of others. In this way, fear becomes a personal mentor rather than a public spectacle, shaping your character in ways that cannot be taught by words alone. Your full plans for the future are not meant to be shared with everyone, because once they are spoken aloud, they lose some of their power. Plans are fragile, like seeds waiting to grow, and every word spoken to others is like exposing them to wind, rain, or frost. People may unintentionally criticize, doubt, or discourage you, and even well-meaning advice can divert your focus or create confusion. The mind that works quietly toward its goals preserves clarity and maintains control. Your ambitions should first be nurtured in silence, where they can grow strong and precise before being revealed to the world. Planning in private also allows you to refine your vision. When a goal is only in your mind, it can be examined carefully without the pressure of expectation. You can think through each step, anticipate obstacles, and adjust your strategy freely. Every plan spoken aloud invites external judgment, and people will often react with their own fears, doubts, or experiences. While advice can sometimes help, it can also mislead, discourage, or impose limitations that do not belong to you. By keeping your plans private, you retain full ownership of your decisions and preserve the flexibility to change course as circumstances demand. Working silently builds discipline. The act of pursuing a goal without announcing it requires self-restraint, focus, and patience. You learn to rely on your own judgment and effort rather than seeking validation or recognition from others. Every small victory is yours alone, not diluted by applause or approval. And when the results finally appear, they carry the weight of genuine accomplishment because they are the product of steady, unseen work. People are naturally impressed by results but less influenced by promises or intentions. Quiet effort often outshines loud declarations because it demonstrates commitment and consistency rather than wishful thinking. Silence in planning also protects your emotional energy. When you speak about your future too early, you expose yourself to doubt, envy, and unnecessary questions. You may feel pressure to explain, defend, or justify your ambitions, which can drain your focus and make your journey harder. When your plans are private, your energy is devoted entirely to action, preparation, and self-improvement. You can work efficiently, without distraction, and respond to challenges with clear judgment, rather than emotional reactions prompted by others' opinions. There is also a strategic advantage in secrecy. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances can change without warning. Sharing your plans too soon may reveal vulnerabilities or create opportunities for interference. Others may inadvertently influence your path, or you may feel obligated to follow advice that does not align with your goals. By keeping your intentions close to your chest, you retain freedom to act, adapt, and make decisions based on your own understanding of reality rather than the expectations of others. Keeping your ambitions private fosters resilience. When no one knows what you hope to achieve, failures are easier to bear and successes are entirely yours to celebrate. You do not rely on praise, nor are you weakened by criticism. You learn to value progress for its own sake, measuring it by your own standards rather than external recognition. Each step forward becomes a lesson in patience, perseverance, and inner strength, cultivating a mind that is self-reliant and focused. Your plans are a reflection of your character, and character is best developed in solitude. Ambition spoken too early can be diluted, but ambition nurtured quietly becomes a source of strength, confidence, and clarity. The mind that keeps its goals private is free to think clearly, act decisively, and grow steadily. By working silently toward your future, you create a life built on action, discipline, and integrity, rather than on words that can be forgotten, misunderstood, or misused. Complaining about others is a habit that weakens the mind and clouds judgment. When you voice grievances or speak poorly of someone, even in private, you give power to negativity. Words have a weight, and each complaint draws your attention away from what you can control toward what you cannot. Life will always have difficult people, unfair situations, and moments of frustration. These are inevitable. Complaining does not change them. It only binds your mind to them and amplifies the dissatisfaction within yourself. The person who chooses silence in the face of frustration preserves their peace and maintains clarity of thought, because energy is directed toward understanding, improving, and enduring rather than criticizing. The act of complaining often reflects impatience and attachment to how we believe life should unfold. When someone harms or frustrates you, the initial reaction is to blame them, to speak your displeasure, or to seek validation from others. But in doing so, you are surrendering your inner freedom to external events and people. By keeping your grievances private, you reclaim control over your mind. You accept that others act according to their nature, that the world is neither just nor unjust in the way you perceive it, and that your response is the only thing you can truly manage. Silence in this area becomes a form of self-discipline, a refusal to allow the actions of others to dictate your mental state. When complaints are expressed, they rarely resolve the problem. Words can provoke arguments, resentment, or misunderstandings. Others may judge you, take sides, or offer advice that distracts rather than helps. Complaints may seem small, casual, or harmless, but repeated expression creates a pattern in the mind. The more you speak of others' faults, the more you focus on flaws, and the less you focus on growth and solutions. The wise mind channels attention to what can be improved within oneself, because change starts from within. Observing the faults of others without verbalizing them allows insight to develop without conflict or distraction, turning obstacles into lessons rather than sources of bitterness. There is also the danger of losing respect when complaining becomes a habit. People naturally notice the energy you emit. Those who constantly voice dissatisfaction often appear weak, dependent on external validation, and incapable of handling life's difficulties quietly. Silence and criticism, however, communicates strength, resilience, and self-mastery. By observing without complaint, you cultivate patience, empathy, and understanding. You see people and events clearly, without the distortions created by emotional reactions. You learn to differentiate between what is within your control and what is not, responding thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Keeping complaints internal also develops emotional intelligence. Each frustrating encounter becomes an opportunity to reflect, understand motives, and practice tolerance. You learn to recognize triggers within yourself, to respond rather than react, and to maintain composure even when others act poorly or unfairly. This is a rare skill, and it strengthens both your mind and your relationships. By refraining from speaking ill, you prevent unnecessary conflicts, preserve trust, and maintain dignity in your interactions. Finally, the person who does not complain cultivates gratitude and perspective. They notice opportunities rather than obstacles, lessons rather than setbacks, and solutions rather than problems. Complaints anchor the mind in negativity, while silence frees it to focus on growth, resilience, and action. By keeping judgments private, you practice mastery over emotions, sharpen clarity, and protect your inner peace. In the end, the wise understand that life is shaped not by what happens to them, but by how they choose to respond, and that the mind that refrains from complaining remains unshaken, observant, and strong. Mistakes and failures are inevitable parts of life, yet sharing them too early can weaken the growth they are meant to inspire. Every error contains a lesson, a chance to understand oneself and the world better. But when you reveal your missteps before you have learned from them, you expose yourself to judgment, misunderstanding, and sometimes ridicule. People rarely react with complete understanding. They may criticize, offer unwanted advice, or see your mistakes as a reflection of your character, rather than a moment of learning. By keeping your failures private, you create the space to study them carefully, to analyze what went wrong, and to correct your course before showing the world the results of your growth. Learning from mistakes in silence strengthens patience and self-reliance. When you do not seek immediate approval, sympathy, or validation, you must depend on your own judgment. This forces you to observe the causes of failure without distraction, to measure your own progress, and to cultivate wisdom. The mind trained in private reflection becomes capable of understanding patterns, anticipating pitfalls, and adjusting strategies. Each failure, when studied quietly, turns into a stepping stone rather than a burden. The power of learning lies in the ability to reflect without interference, and silence protects that power. Sharing failures too soon can also invite unnecessary comparison. People may judge themselves against your missteps or impose their expectations on your path. Some may even take advantage of the knowledge to influence or undermine you. By keeping mistakes private, you preserve your freedom to act, change, and improve without external pressure. You also prevent the distraction of defending yourself or explaining circumstances that may be misinterpreted. The focus remains on understanding the truth of the situation and learning from it, rather than seeking reassurance or approval from others. There is dignity in owning your failures quietly. A person who does not rush to reveal every mistake appears composed, measured, and strong. They demonstrate resilience by confronting errors directly, working through them with patience, and emerging wiser without the need for external recognition. Strength is often quiet and unseen. It grows in the mind and character rather than in public displays of contrition or explanation. By learning in solitude, your growth becomes your own, complete and untainted by external judgments. Failure is a mirror, and reflection is necessary to understand its lessons fully. Speaking too early about what went wrong can distort this reflection. Words may carry interpretations that are not yours, advice that is misaligned, or assumptions that limit your thinking. Silence allows you to focus on the facts, analyze the outcomes, and consider what steps are truly necessary to correct your course. It is in this private study that the mind gains clarity, resilience, and strategic thinking. Handling mistakes privately also teaches humility and restraint. The ego often tempts us to explain, justify, or rationalize our failures to others. But true growth does not depend on others. Understanding. By keeping mistakes to yourself, you cultivate the discipline to accept responsibility quietly, to correct course steadily, and to act with integrity. This approach prevents bitterness, shame, or defensiveness from clouding judgment, and allows you to move forward without being trapped in past errors. In essence, failures are tools for personal development, but only if treated wisely. By studying them in silence, you maintain control, gain insight, and strengthen the mind. The lessons learned in private form the foundation for future success, and your character is refined by the process of confronting errors without distraction, external influence, or judgment. Your weaknesses and insecurities are private matters, and sharing them with others can diminish the strength you are trying to build. Every human has flaws, moments of doubt, and areas where confidence is lacking. But when these are revealed openly, they can be used intentionally or not against you. People may judge, mock, or exploit vulnerabilities even unconsciously, and the more you reveal, the more you surrender control over how others perceive you. Strength grows in silence, and mastery over yourself is cultivated by understanding and confronting weaknesses internally before ever exposing them. Recognizing your insecurities is important, but keeping them private allows you to address them directly without distraction. When you observe them calmly, without sharing them for validation or sympathy, you gain clarity. You see the root of your discomfort, the patterns that create doubt, and the steps required to improve. Weaknesses spoken aloud often attract unwanted advice or criticism, which can cloud judgment and slow progress. By confronting insecurities privately, you retain ownership of your growth, and each improvement becomes an achievement earned through self-discipline rather than approval from others. Silence in this area also builds resilience. Life will challenge you in ways that test your abilities and confidence. If others are aware of your insecurities, you may be tempted to rely on their reassurance, which undermines your independence. When you work quietly, you learn to depend on your own judgment and capability. You face fears and doubts directly, and each small victory over your weakness strengthens the mind and character. This self-reliance is a form of inner freedom, because your strength does not depend on external validation, but on your own effort and understanding. Sharing weaknesses too soon can also shape others' perceptions in ways that limit your potential. People may unconsciously treat you as fragile, incapable, or less competent. Your opportunities may be constrained not because of your actual abilities, but because of what you revealed. By keeping insecurities private, you maintain the freedom to act, to grow, and to demonstrate competence without prejudice. Your results, not your words, show the world what you are capable of, and this quiet demonstration carries far more weight than any admission of weakness. Moreover, controlling what you reveal teaches emotional discipline. Insecurities often stir emotions like shame, anxiety, or self-doubt. Speaking them aloud can amplify these feelings and create a cycle of dependency or over-explanation. By holding them in, you develop patience and perspective. You learn to accept that weaknesses are part of human nature, that growth is gradual, and that inner strength is measured by how well you manage challenges, not by how often you talk about them. Privacy also allows for strategic development. When weaknesses are known only to yourself, you can work on them deliberately and methodically. You can set goals, practice skills, and improve in ways that others cannot interfere with. Each step taken in quiet reflection brings progress without distraction or judgment. You become the master of your own improvement, and your actions become the true measure of your character. In essence, insecurities are neither shameful nor permanent, but they are powerful forces that shape your life if not handled wisely. Keeping them private protects your dignity, strengthens your resilience, and fosters self-reliance. The mind that confronts weaknesses internally without broadcasting them becomes disciplined, calm, and capable. Strength is not displayed in confessions of vulnerability but in the quiet mastery of oneself, and the path to growth is best traveled in thoughtful silence. where each improvement is deliberate and measured. Entirely your own personal grudges and anger are burdens that weigh down the mind more than anyone else. When you speak about your anger or dwell on grudges openly, you allow your thoughts to be consumed by negative energy. Words have power, and by voicing resentment, you give life to emotions that are best controlled within. Anger, when expressed recklessly, rarely harms the person it is directed toward. It harms the one who harbors it. By keeping your grudges private and practicing silence, you protect your peace, maintain clarity, and prevent the erosion of reason that comes from being ruled by uncontrolled emotion. The first step in managing anger is understanding its origin. Why do you feel resentment? What caused this disturbance in your mind? By reflecting quietly, you gain insight into the motives behind your feelings. Often, anger arises not from the actions of others, but from expectations unmet or perceptions of injustice. When observed calmly, it can reveal lessons about patience, tolerance, and the limits of control. Sharing this emotion prematurely, however, invites distortion, judgment, or escalation. Silence ensures that your understanding is untainted by external interpretations and that your response is measured and deliberate. Grudges, when carried outwardly, also strain relationships. Speaking negatively about someone or holding on to resentment publicly can create conflict, distrust, and division. Even subtle expressions of anger can influence how others perceive you and alter dynamics in ways that are difficult to control. By keeping your negative emotions private, you prevent unnecessary damage and maintain dignity. You can observe the situation, make strategic choices, and act in ways that are effective rather than reactive. This practice builds wisdom because it trains you to focus on what is within your control, the clarity of your mind, and the quality of your actions, rather than attempting to control others through words or confrontation. Silence in the face of anger also cultivates resilience. Life will inevitably present situations that provoke irritation, disappointment, or injustice. The mind that can endure these challenges without spilling its emotions outward develops strength. Each moment of restraint is a training ground for self-mastery. Anger, when expressed, tends to escalate. When contained and examined, it becomes a teacher. You learn patience, perspective, and the ability to respond with calmness rather than impulse. The mind that masters its emotions privately becomes unshakable, able to navigate adversity with composure. Moreover, holding grudges internally encourages reflection and strategic thinking. Instead of reacting with rash words or actions, you can analyze the situation, understand the motivations of others, and decide how to act in a way that aligns with your principles. Silence does not mean passivity, it means choosing carefully where and when to expend energy. It allows you to act with purpose rather than being driven by emotional reaction, transforming potential conflict into a source of insight and personal growth. There is also freedom in letting go quietly. Harboring resentment internally, without spreading it through speech, allows the mind to release its grip gradually. You gain control over the narrative within your own thoughts, rather than allowing it to be shaped by public discussion. This fosters emotional independence, inner peace, and the ability to focus on what truly matters. By mastering anger and grudges in private, you cultivate a mind that is disciplined, clear, and capable of maintaining serenity, even when the world is tumultuous. In essence, anger and grudges are natural, but they must be handled wisely. Speaking about them openly often amplifies their power, while keeping them private allows insight, control, and resilience to grow. The mind that chooses silence over expression in these moments strengthens character, maintains peace, and develops wisdom. Mastery over personal emotion is not demonstrated by loud proclamations of grievance, but by the quiet, deliberate handling of internal disturbances, allowing life to be navigated with clarity, balance, and inner strength. Some secrets are too powerful, personal, or sensitive to be shared, and revealing them can have consequences that last far longer than you expect. Secrets, once spoken, cannot be taken back. Even trusted friends, family, or allies may misunderstand, forget, or inadvertently spread what you reveal. The world is full of unpredictable people, and intentions do not always align with outcomes. By keeping certain matters private, you protect not only your reputation but also your freedom to act without interference. The discipline of guarding your secrets strengthens your mind and builds resilience, because it teaches patience, prudence, and self-restraint. Every secret carries a weight, and speaking it prematurely may expose you to judgment, manipulation, or conflict. Some secrets touch on personal matters, family issues, or decisions that could affect your career, relationships, or social standing. Sharing them opens a door to opinions and influence that you may not want. Others may feel entitled to comment, advise, or even criticize, which can distort your thinking and weaken your resolve. By keeping sensitive matters private, you maintain clarity of thought and preserve the integrity of your decisions. The mind that can carry its own knowledge without seeking external validation becomes stronger, more disciplined, and less vulnerable to distraction. Secrets also affect trust. When you confide too easily, people may feel burdened, pressured, or unprepared to respond appropriately. Sometimes they cannot carry the weight of your information without misjudging, misinterpreting, or sharing it unintentionally. By keeping important matters private, you avoid creating obligations or dependencies that could later complicate your life. Silence in these areas teaches you how to value discretion and respect boundaries, both your own and those of others. The ability to carry information responsibly is a mark of maturity and self-mastery. Guarding your secrets also encourages strategic thinking. Every action, plan, or sensitive detail carries potential consequences if exposed. Sharing too much too soon may alert others to your intentions, create opportunities for interference, or compromise outcomes. Silence allows you to observe the world, anticipate challenges, and act decisively without external influence. The mind that protects its secrets develops foresight, patience, and careful judgment. Decisions made in private are often more precise, deliberate, and effective than those influenced by external pressures or opinions. Furthermore, keeping secrets strengthens your emotional independence. It is tempting to share personal matters for reassurance, sympathy, or understanding, but reliance on others for validation can weaken the mind. By carrying your own burdens silently, you cultivate inner strength, self-reliance, and the ability to manage emotions without external support. Each secret maintained is a lesson in patience, resilience, and composure, teaching you to value your own judgment over the approval of others. There is also dignity in discretion. People naturally respect those who can manage sensitive information wisely. Oversharing can create the perception of weakness or carelessness, while the ability to handle private matters silently signals maturity, reliability, and strength of character. Silence in this context is not avoidance. It is an exercise of control over your life, decisions, and reputation. You act with intention rather than reaction, allowing your actions and results to demonstrate your wisdom rather than your words. In essence, secrets are a part of life, but they require careful handling. Some knowledge, thoughts, and plans are too sensitive to be shared. By keeping them private, you protect your peace, your freedom, and your capacity to act effectively. The disciplined mind values discretion, uses silence strategically, and recognizes that once words are spoken, they cannot be reclaimed. By mastering the art of keeping secrets, you cultivate patience, wisdom, and self-mastery, and you preserve the power of your thoughts, plan, and personal life from external influence. Keeping your thoughts and intentions private is one of the greatest tools for maintaining control over your life. The mind is powerful, and sharing every idea, plan, or intention exposes it to influence, distraction, and judgment. People naturally react to what they hear, often projecting their own fears, doubts, or experiences onto your plans. By keeping your thoughts to yourself, you preserve clarity and retain full ownership of your direction in life. Silence allows you to think freely, analyze situations, and act with precision without the interference of outside opinions. When your intentions are known to others, you invite pressure. People may expect results according to their understanding or timeline, and this external pressure can distort your focus. You may feel the need to justify your choices, defend your methods, or explain your progress repeatedly. Each explanation draws energy away from action and reflection, and over time, it can create confusion and anxiety. A disciplined mind values focus over validation, and by keeping intentions private, you ensure that your energy is directed toward action, not explanation. Privacy in your intentions also protects against envy and interference. Not everyone around you will celebrate your ambitions or support your growth. Some may act with jealousy, subtly trying to influence or undermine your progress. Even those who seem supportive may unconsciously shape your decisions in ways that do not align with your best interest. By maintaining silence about your goals, You prevent unnecessary interference and preserve the integrity of your path. Your actions then become the proof of your commitment and your capability, far more powerful than words ever could be. Keeping your thoughts private fosters patience and self-discipline. Life rarely unfolds exactly as we plan, and progress toward meaningful goals requires steady effort over time. When your intentions are known to others, you may feel compelled to rush, to meet expectations, or to seek approval before you are ready. Silence allows you to cultivate endurance, to move deliberately, and to work steadily without distraction or impatience. Each step taken quietly builds skill, confidence, and resilience, because the focus is on real achievement rather than perception. There is also a strategic advantage in keeping intentions to yourself. Life is unpredictable, and sharing plans too soon can create vulnerabilities. Others may take advantage of the information, intentionally or not, or you may feel bound to follow advice that does not serve your goals. When intentions are private, you maintain the freedom to adapt, to experiment, and to change course as circumstances evolve. The disciplined mind values flexibility and understands that timing, discretion, and preparation are key to success. Maintaining mental privacy strengthens emotional independence. It is tempting to share ideas for reassurance, encouragement, or validation. But relying on others in this way can weaken your autonomy. By keeping intentions private, you cultivate self-trust, confidence, and the ability to manage doubts and challenges internally. Every decision made in silence is a step toward self-reliance, and each successful action reinforces the strength of a mind unshaken by external influence. Furthermore, there is dignity in the silent pursuit of your goals. People respect those who act decisively without broadcasting every thought. Oversharing often signals uncertainty, dependence, or a need for recognition, while quiet focus communicates competence, composure, and self-mastery. The results of careful action demonstrate wisdom far more effectively than words, because actions cannot be misinterpreted, and accomplishments speak louder than explanations. In essence, keeping your thoughts and intentions private is a cornerstone of strength, focus, and clarity. Silence allows the mind to grow, work, and act without distraction, protects against external pressure or interference, and cultivates patience, self-discipline, and independence. By mastering the art of privacy, you preserve your freedom to think, decide, and act deliberately, letting your achievements reveal your wisdom and your inner strength rather than your words. Speaking less, reflecting more, and protecting your inner peace is a principle that defines the strength of the mind. Words are powerful, but they are also fleeting, and once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Every time you speak, you reveal a piece of your inner world, your thoughts, your emotions, your judgments. If these are shared recklessly, they can be misinterpreted, manipulated, or used against you. The mind that learns to remain silent cultivates discipline, clarity, and control over its own energy. Reflection becomes the tool by which understanding deepens, and every decision and action is guided by careful thought rather than reaction. Speaking less allows the mind to observe rather than react. Life presents countless opportunities for commentary, judgment, and distraction. People will share opinions, provoke reactions, or create conflict. And if the mind responds without discretion, it becomes entangled in external turbulence. By holding back unnecessary words, you focus on what truly matters, conserving mental energy for reflection, learning, and purposeful action. Silence does not indicate weakness or indifference. It signals strength, self-mastery, and the ability to navigate life without being ruled by impulse or emotion. Reflection is the key to wisdom. When you take time to think, to understand the causes behind events, emotions, and actions, you cultivate insight. Reflection allows you to examine your responses, your goals, and your values, aligning them with reason rather than external pressures. Without reflection, life becomes a series of reactive moments, where decisions are made hastily and mistakes are repeated. By prioritizing inner thought over outward expression, you ensure that your actions are deliberate, effective, and consistent with your principles. Protecting inner peace is essential for mental and emotional strength. The world is full of noise, conflict, and unpredictability. Many people seek to disturb your calm through criticism, gossip, or provocation. When you speak less, you shield yourself from these disturbances, creating a mental space where focus and serenity can thrive. Your peace is not dependent on the absence of challenges but on the discipline to maintain composure despite them. Every unnecessary word spoken carries the risk of stirring conflict, misinterpretation, or distraction. So measured silence is a form of self-preservation and wisdom. Speaking less also encourages observation. When the mind is quiet, it can notice patterns, understand motives, and see the world more clearly. Listening becomes a powerful tool for learning, as every action and word of others provides information that can guide decisions and shape understanding. The silent observer gains more insight than the one who constantly reacts, because awareness is cultivated in stillness, and clarity emerges from contemplation rather than chatter. Reflection also strengthens self-control. By choosing when to speak, you assert authority over your mind and emotions. You are not driven by impulses or the desire to be understood, validated, or noticed. Each moment of restraint reinforces discipline, teaching patience, strategic thinking, and the ability to act with intention. Speaking only when necessary ensures that your words carry weight and meaning, rather than being lost in noise or consumed by distraction. Finally, protecting inner peace allows for resilience and freedom. The mind that is undisturbed by trivial provocations, gossip, or the opinions of others becomes resilient in the face of adversity. It can focus on growth, understanding, and purposeful action without being derailed by external chaos. Reflection, silence, and self-control cultivate independence, wisdom, and a strong character. By speaking less, reflecting more, and safeguarding inner calm, you align your mind with reason and virtue, allowing life to be navigated with clarity, patience, and deliberate action.